Peace, peace, peace. What's going on out there, everybody? It's your girl, Cosmic Paradox, and I'm checking in with you for the first time of 2024. And I'm bringing you this video, and we're going to talk about 2024 and the energy of 2024. Now, before I get going and get all, deeply embedded in this conversation or in this video, I want y'all to go ahead and be sure to hit the like or the subscribe button if you have not already done so. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into talking about this energy of 2024. Now, granted, and I know a lot of people feel this way, and I know a lot of us have done our homework, and we are well aware that the new year begins with the spring season according to nature, and you are absolutely correct. But we also must acknowledge that we do live up under this Gregorian calendar system. And what I mean by that is to be fair and to be honest, we do not have the means to pretty much like live outside of the way society is constructed to go by. So regardless of the fact that we know truly the new year begins in the spring season, we do have to understand that we live in this current, present, very real system that is around us based off of this Gregorian calendar. Now, that's not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, you can choose to bring forth change at any given point in time. This is only just a magnified time to do so according to society. Now, not according to nature, but according to society. Now, and if we really want to be honest about it, truthfully, we should begin the start of this process of beginning anew once winter solstice comes. Now, the reason that I say that is because we do understand everything is based on the positioning of the sun. And if not the sun, then we're talking about the moon or some other celestial body. That is pretty much the means of how society is constructed based on time and creating a framework of that which we know to be our reality. So according to that, if we understand the winter solstice, and upon the completion of the winter solstice, marking the longest night of the year, which is spiritually synonymous to the dark night of the soul, pointing to the darkest period. And so it is reflective from an internal state to when it is actually expressed in a physical state through the celestial bodies. Because when you go through your dark night of the soul, when you go through your dark night of the soul, in the process of doing your shadow work, in the process of integrating your ego and your shadow, becoming your true whole self, you have to go through some pretty deep and dark crevices or parts of yourself in order to discover that treasure that is within you. So that is an outward reflection of an inward process. Okay? So when we're looking at 2024, we recognize that 2024 is an 8-year. You got the 2, the 2, and the 4. You come to the total of 8. So we're dealing with an 8 vibration year. Now, currently right now, me recording this video, it is now January the 5th. It would be ideal, or is typically ideal, for this content to have been prepared for you prior to or right upon the entrance of the year 2024. But Spirit had other plans. Spirit had other plans. And I was forced to wait before I was able to record this video. And I realized why Spirit wanted me to wait, because it was only right that Katt Williams interview was conducted so that it could only pretty much really just drive the whole point home of everything having to do with this 8 vibration. And so we got the start of 2024 with Katt Williams breaking the internet on Club Shay Shay, on Shannon Sharp's podcast. Now, I'm kind of shocked that it was done on Shannon Sharp podcast. And it's because, as he himself stated, a lot of grievances, a lot of things Katt aired out were pertaining to people that Shannon has previously bought on his show, that he considers to be friends. Hey, I can call this guy. So, and it was only right that it happened. And we're going to talk about exactly what this 8 energy is all about and why this whole thing with Katt Williams happened now, and what this is telling us about this 8 energy and how to prepare for this year 2024. Now, what's interesting when you're looking at an 8 and when you understand 8 vibration and the energy of 8 working in positive and working in negative, you know that it's about working through issues that's related to money, power, authority, control, influence, and recognition. Now, in that Katt Williams interview, now I'm going to tell you, it looked like he got a lot of people out here shook, because a lot of people have already replied within 24 hours of this interview. I mean, man, the interview got over 11 million views already within a day's time. So, and everywhere you scroll, you seeing people sharing clips from this Katt Williams interview. It is that powerful. It is that big. Why? Because this is a level of this is somebody speaking on a high level, a high magnitude, going against the grain, going against authority, and calling the people out and standing on truth. And a lot of people are aligning with this truth. A lot of people are aligning with this truth at the end of the day. You see, when it comes to 8 is about reconciling your inner drives with their opposing reluctance towards achieving material success. So everything that has to do with, well, just what you're willing to do for some money is in the number 8 vibration, because that's what the 8 vibration is all about. It's about issues with money. So most people this year, in areas that have to deal with finance, where you got a balance, you're going to have to deal with or confront issues in that area. And it might not just be about money. Understand, it could be power. It could be control. It could be authority. It could be about recognition. It's about taking the credit. You're talking about a lot of these comedians that was stealing jokes. They got to do with integrity. See how far you willing to go to gain material success. That's what we dealing with when we talking about an 8. These are the areas that's going to have to call for balance and to be cleared up. This is clearing the air. This is setting the record straight. I don't think there was no animosity in terms of bitterness coming from Katt Williams. Hey, might have been saying, stop playing on my name. Stop lying on my name. Stop taking credit for things that you did not do. Stop utilizing your influence and your power and your money to create the narrative or to be the author or the authority of my story. That sounds like what he was standing on to me. I mean, Katt Williams has always been this way. This is why he has such a solid fan base. Alongside the point of the brother being funny. Aside from that. But see, with 8s all this year, this is what we're going to be dealing with. Because you're going to have to confront and deal with experiencing inner abundance and power and respect before these things can actually manifest on the outside. So people who cheat their way to get to that success, there's going to be a reckoning amongst that particular type of energy this year. It's going to call for that. That's what's going to happen. Because 8 is all about worldly success and abundance. And let me be clear, because this is pertaining to anybody who dealing with an 8 or anybody who has an 8 in their life path. Please understand that, this is why you have people referring to the 8 year as the karmic year. The year of karma, retribution, what goes around comes around. Ye shall reap what you sow. And it's because when we're dealing with the 8, it's whatever you are putting out, that is what you are. Because 8s naturally are sharers. So what are you sharing with the world? Right? Because if you're not spreading, or if you're not shedding from a sense of giving from your heart, giving from love, if you are giving to expect something in return, that's a very dark path, particularly for an 8, because 8s can become so drunken and so obsessed when it comes to power, when it comes to material success. And we see a lot of people reply back, in terms of the determining factor of who's right, being based off of the material or worldly success. And that makes you want to ask the question, or it further demonstrates what it is that's being portrayed so much in this society. It's the illusions. It's the illusions of the material success, and people sell out or sell themselves out, sell themselves short, all for a bag. Now we get it. Everybody has to survive. It's never about being against getting your money. No. Get your money. But all money ain't good money. And that's the lessons that people have to learn when dealing with this particular energy. So you shall, whatever it is that you are putting out in terms of how you view money, what your relationship is with money, is going to be magnified this year. And not just money. It's going to be however you view influence, power, anything of that particular stature is what's going to be pushed to the forefront and played out within these experiences of this year, teaching us more and layering more into the lessons surrounded around these numbers. Because at the end of the day, it's all about energy. That's what it's all about. So as long as we are furthering ourselves in the knowledge. So when we're talking about 8, another big emphasis on 8 is influence. Influence. Look at the influence of a lot of these people, a lot of these entities, as he called them, which was he calling out. He broke it down for you. They utilize their influence to create narratives. This is how the system works. Now, look, a lot of people going to come and be like, man, this old Katt Williams thing is a distraction. They're just distracted from something going on in the government. I disagree. Everything is a distraction, people. And it's not to distract you from the government. The government is a distraction too. Everything in this world is a distraction. Because everything is about you and your inner work and your inner world. So as long as your focus is on what's going on out here and not what you need to be doing in here, you always distracted. Always, that's the point. It's all a distraction. Understand, most of your thoughts are not even yours. You don't even think thoughts that originate from you. And we don't even know that that is the case. Because we don't understand how this matrix really, truly works. We don't really get it. We don't really know. You see, these entities, these thought forms that are materialized, it's about you being controlled through your own conscious. It's about understanding that anything that uses your consciousness to control you is the basis of what runs this matrix. See, you're trapped in a prison. And within this prison, you don't know that you're in a prison. That's number one. So you're in a prison and you don't even know that you are in a prison. You are in a prison of a reality where you are being fed off of. You don't know that you food no more than cattle or chicken. Understand that it's just here to be your food. It don't get there. It don't understand it. You don't understand it. This is what is happening to you. You don't understand that this is what causes your suffering and makes you pray. Because you are preyed upon for your energy to keep this whole matrix going. Because everything is about energy. Everything is to get you emotionally aroused. Everything. That's the point of all of the distractions. It's so that you don't utilize that power for your own inner transformation. So that you can't elevate yourself and instead just continue to keep the program going. This shit is about influence. It's about power. It's about money. Because no matter how spiritual we want to be, if you don't have the money to live said lifestyle, you will find yourself having to make decisions and being controlled by money. That's what's going to happen. That's why 8 can have its connection to independence. The more money you have, the more free you feel. And it's not the money per se. That's the lesson. That's what you have to learn. How money really works. The current as it being a currency. Understanding current. Because your very own energy is what either attracts money to you or repels it from you. You see, money is a thing, a medium of exchange. Abundance is an attitude and a bountiful feeling that's associated more with an inner state than with worldly achievement. It's some people who can have a whole lot of money and stingy and not want to give away nothing. And it's people who can hardly have any money and feel so abundant and they'll give it away. Because see, abundance is an attitude. It's something that you feel within yourself. See, 8 is about how you can make other people feel. You know what I'm saying? It's about spreading and sharing that type of feeling. That's what abundance is. Remember, it's an attitude. It's an attitude. See, people of modest means might count their blessings in life and feel a sense of abundance. While you got millionaires who can stress and overextend themselves and never feel like they have enough. So therefore, they'll never experience abundance, even though they might be a millionaire. And that's why people will tell you money can't make you happy. Now, granted, people who do not have a lot of money can fix a lot of their financial problems with more money, but in reality, it will not make you happy. That it can't fix. That's an inner feeling. That's an inner thing. Even if we talk about empowerment, See, last year or the 7 year was about that knowing, getting in touch with self, being retrospective or reflective and going within, being introspective. So now with the 8, it's time to be empowered by it. It's time to put into action what you know, because 8 is an action number. This is how you gonna get what you give. So now that you know better, you gonna put out better and you gonna receive better. See, so empowerment manifests also as control or authority and works the same way as money. So when you empower yourself, you providing, you connecting with your own inner authority. So when you having issues or financial issues, this is when those limiting beliefs must be addressed. But you must understand that money cannot be the ultimate goal. That's the point. Money can't be the goal. You can't do it for recognition. You can't do it for power. You can't do it for influence. The rewards of that 8, that abundance, that wealth, that material success flows naturally from just striving to do well and for just doing good in the world. That's what it comes from, because that's the lesson of the 8. Because see, if you dealing specifically, a 8 energy lesson could be trying to teach you to do what it is that you love. And in doing what you love, instead of allowing yourself to be controlled by money, saying, oh, well, I got to do this for such and such. But it's like let's say you work a job. Let's say you have a job. Let's say job pays really well, right? Right? Let's say you have a job that pays very well, but you don't particularly like this job or this work environment or the things that you have to do to make your money, right? Now let's say that there is an opportunity for you to take a job or to do something related to something that you love and have an affinity for doing without money, right? But let's say it doesn't pay as much, right? Let's say you're going to have to take a significant pay cut. So the lesson in that would be in seeing the value in the wealth and the abundance in doing what makes you happy, which in itself will provide you with the rewards that you need, versus continuing to do something that you hate, that you don't like, that you can't stand, continuing to do that all for the sake of it pays me more money. So that's in a sense of when you're looking at an 8, or looking at that in that sense. So 8 itself can be very intimidating energy because it's power. So it can frighten people who, especially those who have unexpressed power. So people themselves with an 8 in their light path can intimidate people who are more passive type of people who, don't really tap into that nature of themselves. They can project their power onto you because naturally in your aura, in your energy, it's just that 8 energy. So that's something that people with an 8 have to deal with. Now, some people with 8s find themselves being manipulated and used for money a lot. And that's because they are at the same time having to learn to stand up for themselves, right? To no longer allow themselves to be bullied. That's yet and still, that go back to the whole Katt Williams thing. That goes to the fact of him not wanting to lie down and just accept it. Him willing to stand up in his truth and speak on his truth and stand on his truth, regardless of how people might felt about it. And see, the wild thing about it was the connection or him mentioning Ludacris. The whole thing with Ludacris was very, very interesting to me because Ludacris is a life path 8. He's a life path 35 8 specifically, where you looking at self-made millionaire type of energy. And one thing these particular type of energy or these particular type of people always have to keep in mind is they must maintain balance, and they must not allow the money to be the basis of why they make their choices or make their decisions. Now, I don't know Ludacris. You feel me? I don't know the brother. I don't know what he got going on. I don't know, any of it. But all I can say is, if he is dealing with that on an internal level, then it's having to do with needing to balance their energy out. And that may be why the universe saw fit for Ludacris to be brought up in that interview. That may be why, because we got to understand the way energy works, man. We just got to understand the way energy works, because integrity is going to be key when it comes to these people with eights, and when it comes to anything related to eight energy. Because some people, you might find yourselves having to, like I said, step into your power and stand up for yourself and stop giving away your power. So that can be a very strong message or lesson for a lot of people pertaining to this 8 year, or what's going to go on in this 8 year. And it may have to do with your money. It may be because of your money, or it may be because of recognition. It may be because of credibility. It may be because of influence. It may be any one of these things that can play out into a factor into controlling your life and pushing you to stand up for yourself. So if you got low self-esteem, it's certainly going to be brought to the forefront for you this year, because 8 is authority. And you have your own inner authority. Are you refuting your own inner authority? Are you not allowing yourself to receive what you deserve? Do you not believe that you deserve more? See, these are the things that we have to come to terms with. So people who think they might be above the rules, right? People might think they might be above the rules, or that the rules don't apply to them. Like Katt was talking about, a lot of things that he was bringing out. They will have to deal with the consequences of those choices, of those actions at this particular time, because you're going to get back what you put in. And we seeing this energy already starting to play out. Because like I said, if you want to be honest, the energy starts to kick into play once you get into that winter solstice. You start to feel it. By the time you get to the spring, it's in full effect. But you start to feel it. And that's what we are starting to see. That's what we starting to do. See, because this ain't the first time that he's done this. But why is it right now that it's in favor of him being able to be heard and to tell his story? See, you always going to get, the truth is always going to have its time. Every time, y'all, the truth is always going to have its time. So you going to have to deal with the seeds that you've been sowing. You're going to have to deal with that. It's going to come back. Even with the whole Kevin Hart thing with Tasha K. And that may be a whole intertwined lesson. Because see, Kevin Hart done had this issue before. So right now, so he has an assistant that's speaking out, telling all of his business. Right? And he filing a suit. He filing a defamation suit. Now let's be real. We saw this before. Back when Kevin had his whole incident, where he had his whole scandal. Back when he had his whole situation going on with his scandal, he said that he was being extorted. We recall this. He said he was being extorted. Come to find out, there was no extortion. That was just a means of being seen as a victim to cover up, to paint a particular narrative. What's that? That's influence. That's power. That's what money gets you. That's what power gets you. That's what influence gets you. So if you've been abusing power, if you've been abusing influence, if you've been doing any of those things, that shit coming back to get you this year. It might hit your pockets. It might hit your credibility, your sense of credibility, your character, your reputation. It might hit any one of those things. And for those of you who do deal with low self-esteem and who have to confront and who need to balance the giving away of their power. You must learn and you must understand that low self-esteem leads to self-sabotage. So if you're going to continue to second guess yourself, if you're going to continue to not believe in yourself, right? You're just going to end up, it's just going to lead to some form of self-sabotage. Now, like I said, integrity is going to be key. You got to maintain your integrity and don't compromise your integrity for the sake of material gain, because it will backfire on you. Y'all got the lesson. The lesson was in Katt Williams. He done already came forth from them born heat. He done already laid down everything that's going to be evident for 2024. He done already did it. Do not compromise yourself for material gain. And if you've been holding out, and if you haven't been compromising yourself, if you've been sticking to your integrity, your time is coming. Your time is coming. Because money and power are only forms of energy that make you more of who you already are. That's it. Just gonna make you more who you already are. And if you ain't shit without it, you ain't gonna be shit with it. It's just more people gonna be able to see that. So be on the lookout for many opportunities manifesting under this vibration. You have to be open to abundance and these new financial opportunities. You have to be open to them, and they will be available to you. So what you got to do, so because we in this 8 year, because you want to work on your inner abundance, your inner authority, right? What you got to do is you got to take responsibility for any abundance or lack of abundance in your life. You got to own your shit. That's the only way that you become the authority, is by owning it and taking control of it, by saying, this is mine, this is what I did, this is what I could do, this is how, you have to just own it, man. Just own it, because everybody has made mistakes. Everybody has, had missteps. So you have to and address your self-limiting beliefs. You really have to sit back and reflect on how you really feel about wealth, power, credit. If you were to have a high profile, you have to address these things, because if you just have a self-limiting belief about them, it will be preventing you from having or obtaining more material success. And you want to practice more of an abundance mindset. You want to count your blessings. You want to count the things that you're grateful for. Appreciate what you have in your life already. How is your cup going to overflow if you can't see your cup as full? Okay, so you got to be able to understand it in that way. You got to be able to be more about sharing as well. Now, so there may be times that you will find yourself struggling with taking action, because again, dealing with an 8 year. And in this 8 year, it's all about lessons of, you power, abundance, and things of that nature. And in order to truly allow the flow of the rewards that is due to us, you must take action. And action isn't easy in this world, because there are so many forces of doubt. There's so many things that creates inertia in us, in our own minds, in our own bodies. There's so many excuses. There's so many things that we come up with that prevent us from taking action, from doing the very thing that we know deep down inside that we have to do, that we must do in order to successfully complete the task at hand. And that's not just always physical, right? Physical goals and things. It can be spiritual tasks. It can be spiritual goals, right? It can have to do with that as well. There's a means of spiritual success also. So this applies across the board. And one of the lessons that you will have to deal with is knowing that you still must act. You must act regardless of these things that you may feel that may keep you from wanting to take action. So being able to turn words, concepts, plans, and ideas into action requires energy. Okay, it requires energy. It requires sacrifice. If you recall the number 7 last year when we discussed everything for 2023, we talked about sacrifice. This is where your sacrifice pays off. Now it's going to pay off because now you have the energy, the wisdom necessary for you to overcome and take action. Now we have to overcome the insecurities. We got to hurdle past the self-doubt, the lethargy, all the excuses, and all of the many, many reasons that we can come up with for things to just stay the way they are, to not make those changes that we know that we need to make, and to not do those things that we know that we deeply desire to do in our heart. And if we got to understand that you're going to keep getting the same message. It's better for you to do what we need to do than to not do it and have a good reason. This is the law of action. You must learn to take action. It's like Nike say, just do it. You have to learn how to take action, how to do it despite the fear, despite it all. Because what we do is we wait for permission. We're waiting for permission from ourselves to do something. We're waiting to feel motivated, right? We're waiting until we feel like we're going to just overcome everything. We're waiting until we don't feel any fear. We're waiting until we don't feel any doubt, or until, insecurity is no longer causing us issues or putting pressure on us. We're waiting. We're trying to get permission from these things, and that's never going to happen. Action is stronger than subjectivity. There are times that we have to act regardless of what we feel or what we are thinking. That is courage. That is what courage is. And you do not arrive at courage without the fear, without the doubt. Those things must be present to show you how powerful you are. This is what brings out your power from the start with. Because you have to overcome what feels like the hardest forces that you ever have to overcome. That is the darkness. It's your darkness. It is what you must overcome. It's important that you do things that help you to align with power during the year. Maybe take a martial arts class or a self-defense class, or do something that allows you to tap into your own inner power, your own inner authority. Okay? So these are the things that's going to be present in this 8th year. We're going to see a lot of power struggles. We're going to see a lot of people go against the powers that be, right? Or go against the grain, or what's seen as the authority. The authority is simple as who has the say so. Well, under whose authority do you have to say that? Whose authority makes that true? So you have to become your own authority. That's what your self-knowledge was for. That's what your isolation and your self-knowledge was supposed to be for during your 7 year. During all that sacrifice, you sacrifice doing all those extracurricular activities so that you can reflect and get more in tune with yourself. Why? So that now you are able to be empowered by these things that you have learned now. Now you are able to take action. and go out and lead in the world and do something greater than yourself. This is the means of those things. All it's doing is describing to you a process. It's simply describing a process. So in the meantime, right? So in the meantime, if you haven't seen that Katt Williams interview, all 2 hours and 47 minutes of it, it is very entertaining. Very entertaining interview, if I do say so myself. You know, I always have had a fondness of comedians. And I say this all the time. And I know y'all have heard me say it, but I'm going to say it again. Comedians are masters. They are masters of walking out the shadow. Masters at bringing out the shadow. Masters at triggering the shadow, bringing the shadow out so you can see it for who and what it really is. Take a look at Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle just had a new special, The Dreamer. Look at the way he approaches. The reason why people call him a genius is the way he constructs a joke. A joke. He takes a joke, something that you are supposed to laugh about, and makes it into something that allows you to be able to reflect on yourself and society. This is a powerful, powerful ability. This is a superpower. Comedians, and we wonder why these people are always the ones that are used for their influence, that are used by the powers that be to create narratives and to influence the public and the masses. And because of what they are capable of, see, when you understand energy, you see it for what it is. It's not about good or bad, black or white. It's not about that. It's much more than that, because the source of all is the source of all things. Right? We talking about the source. If you want to talk about good or bad, you can say good or bad, but we can really, good or bad comes from a source. So when you up here dealing at the source, you're not caught up in those trivial, mundane things, because you up here at the source trying to get the bigger picture. You're trying to get the bigger picture. So a lot of people aren't gonna like some of the people that he mentioned, some of the things that he stated, because people idolize celebrities. That's why they have the influence that they have. That's why they are chosen to be manipulated for their influence. Because in some people's eyes, these people can do no wrong. But don't sleep on a comedian. Don't ever sleep on a comedian, because these are master alchemists. They take the lowest forms of the storytelling, the means of taking something bad and making it into something worth laughing at. That in itself highlights mental health in itself. How far, much, or if somebody is suppressing their own shadow. Can you laugh at yourself? Self-awareness. Being able to laugh at its very core is self-awareness. Being aware of who and what you are and where you are in your life. And being able to see the wisdom and providing a means for people to see more. Utilizing your own experience as an example of being better. Hey, that's some magical shit. So, me personally, I love comedians. They are some of my favorite people. Katt Williams is one of my favorite comedians. I might be a little biased because he's a Virgo, you know what I'm saying? In my eyes, Virgos, we when we know how to operate in the positive, it's too many that can do it better. Because when you deal with a Virgo, or when you're dealing with Virgo energy, right? Because it don't have to just be a person with a sun sign Virgo, but when you're dealing with Virgo energy, you're dealing with alchemy, right? So when you're dealing with somebody at the capacity, at the highest capacity of that energy, you're dealing with a self-possessed person. Somebody self-possessed can't be manipulated, cannot be used, because I am my own vessel. I understand the power and the connection of my vessel to source. Why would I allow myself to channel anything else? No, I stand on business. That's what stand on business means. That's what it means. So be prepared, be diligent in the 8th year. Be prepared, because you might got to flex your power a little bit. You might have to step into your power. You might have to let somebody know what it is. There's times and situations that energy is called for. You can't just always be no peacemaker. Sometimes you gotta overpower your opposition. That's what you gotta do in terms of doubt. That's what you have to do in terms of your fears. You have to do it despite those things. That's how you realize how powerful you are. So one thing about this year, you're going to see where your power is. You're going to see where balance is required. You're going to see where somebody's abusing control, where somebody's abusing their power, where somebody may be abusing their position. Because who put you in that position? There was an authority. Everybody answers to something. Is it an outside source or is it an inner source? So, happy 2024. Happy 2024. Best believe we will be back around to address the new year once we hit the spring, because it is the spring equinox and we do operate accordingly, right? So, that's everything that I wanted to kind of speak on pertaining to this 8 vibration. Katt Williams bringing in the year correctly, showing us the energy, setting the tone for the year. He set the tone. He set the tone. And so many people have already replied. Now, this isn't about me feeling like if he's telling the truth or if he's not telling the truth. Because at the end of the day, this is his truth. This is his experience. And a lot of people on the internet been pulling receipts. A lot of people been showing receipts from a lot of these figures, these iconic figures that he mentioned. So we can leave that up to interpretation. You do with that information what you will. But acknowledge the energy for what it is. Acknowledge your energy for what it is. So in the meantime, y'all, if you not subscribed to the YouTube, I need you subscribe to the YouTube. If you enjoy this type of content, and if you want to dig deeper, if you really want to read books about this type of stuff, if you really want to learn how to apply this to your life, if you really truly trying to be more spiritually aligned with yourself, join my Patreon. I need you on the Patreon. And also, don't forget to grab the books. Be sure to get the books. The books are the foundation. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I look forward to 2024, people, and all the things that we are going to, experience and adventure upon this year. So, peace, tribe.